followed your training, you did what you were told. Maybe you gave the order, or maybe someone else did, and you carried it out. Maybe you watched something happen and you couldn't stop it. Maybe you had to make a choice in a fraction of a second, and someone got hurt or didn't make it home. And now you're here, and you're functional, you're doing the job, or at least you look like you are, but there's something grinding away at you that doesn't have a name yet. It's not fear. It's not grief. Not exactly. It's something heavier. Something that sounds like, how could I? Or, I should have known better. Or, I don't deserve to sit at this table anymore. That right there, that might be moral injury. And today we're going to name it, we're going to look it in the face, and we're going to start to figure out what you do with it. Welcome to the Superhuman Resilience Project. I'm Kara, and this is Season 1, Episode 10. And if this one lands close to home, I need you to stay with me all the way through. Because we're not just going to crack this thing open today. We're going to start you down the road toward making peace with it. Moral injury is not a clinical diagnosis, at least not yet. But it's one of the most real, most devastating, and probably the most under-talked about wounds that the people in our world, veterans, first responders, active duty service members, ER staff, paramedics, EMTs, dispatchers, we carry it around every single day. The term was first seriously explored by psychiatrist Jonathan Shea back in the early 1990s. This is really fairly a new thing. And it was then further developed by researchers such as Brett Litz and others. And here's the definition that they landed on. And I'm going to put this out there in just real plain language. Moral injury happens when you participate in, witness, or fail to prevent something that goes against your deeply held moral beliefs, and it shatters your sense of who you are. Let me say that again because it really matters. It shatters your sense of who you are. That's the key piece. This isn't just about feeling bad about something that happened. This is about a fundamental crack in the story you tell yourself about yourself, your identity, your worth, your place in this world. Moral injury is built on three things, and you only need one of them for this to apply to you. Number one, you did something you believe was wrong. You pulled the trigger. You gave the order. You made the call, and it cost someone something you can't give back. Number two, you witnessed something wrong and didn't or couldn't stop it. Maybe your hands were tied. Maybe you froze. Maybe the protocol prevented you. But you were there, you saw it, and you couldn't make it right. Number three, someone in authority betrayed your trust. Your commanding officer, your chain of command, your department leadership, and you were left holding the moral weight of the decisions that weren't yours to make. Any one of those or some combination, and you've got the ingredients for moral injury. Now here's the thing, and this is super important. Most people in our community who've experienced this don't have a name for it. They just know that something's wrong. They know they haven't been the same, and without a name, you can't fight it so you just absorb it. So today, we name it. Okay, so here's where I need to slow down and get precise with you, because this is the part that trips up a lot of people, including a lot of clinicians, honestly. Moral injury and PTSD are not the same thing. They can exist at the same time, and they often do. But they are fundamentally different wounds, and they require different kinds of healing. If you try to treat a moral injury like PTSD, you're going to get partial results at best. And at worst, you're going to feel like something's wrong with you because the treatment isn't working. So let me break this down for you. PTSD is a fear-based wound. At its very simple core, post-traumatic stress disorder is a fear-based wound. Your nervous system experienced something so overwhelming, so threatening to your survival, that it got stuck. The alarm system in your brain, the parts that's supposed to say, danger, go, never got the signal that the danger was over. So you get things like flashbacks, like nightmares, hypervigilance. You're constantly scanning every room you walk into. You've got to have your back to the wall. You need to have your eyes on the exits. You get triggered by sounds and smells and situations that remind your nervous system of the event. You avoid anything that might set it off. PTSD says, I am not safe, the world is dangerous, and I have to stay ready. That's a nervous system problem, and it responds with a lot of work and the right approach to therapies, EMDR, prolonged exposure, CPT, things that help your brain process and file the memory correctly. Moral injury is different. It's not about fear. It's about meaning. Moral injury says, I am not good. I am not who I thought I was. I have done or seen or failed to prevent something that I cannot reconcile with the person I believe I'm supposed to be. There's no flashback necessarily. There might not be nightmares. But there is this constant grinding sense of shame, of guilt, of unworthiness, of feeling like a fraud, of disconnecting from things that used to matter, your family, your faith, your unit, your community, because you don't feel like you deserve to be a part of them anymore. Where PTSD hijacks your nervous system, moral injury hijacks your soul, your sense of self, your moral framework, the story of who you are. So let's talk about how to tell them apart. Here's a quick gut check. This is not diagnostic. I am not a clinician. I am not trying to be one. But it's a useful frame. If you find yourself asking, am I safe? Is the world safe? That leans towards PTSD. If you find yourself asking, am I good? Do I deserve good things? Am I the person I thought I was? That leans towards moral injury. PTSD is about threat. Moral injury is about transgression. And both of them will absolutely wreck you if you don't address them. But they need different tools. And here's the other thing. You can have both. They can coexist. A lot of people in our world have both. And that's why the work is complicated. That's why you might feel like you've made progress on one thing and still feel like garbage in a different way. You might have treated the fear and still be living with the shame. And that shame has a name now. And we can work with that. So, how do you know? How do you look at your own life and figure out if what you're carrying is moral injury? I'm going to walk you through some of the signs. And as I do, I want you to notice what lands for you. You don't have to act on anything right now, just notice. First sign, you feel crushing shame or guilt that doesn't ease up. Not just regret, not just I wish it had gone differently. We're talking about the kind of guilt that won't let you rest, that follows you into normal moments. Your kid's birthday party, a Sunday afternoon barbecue, and reminds you that you don't deserve this, that you should be suffering more than you are. Sign number 2. You've lost your sense of moral clarity. Things that used to be clear aren't anymore. You used to know who you were. You had a code, maybe formal, maybe just internal. And now it feels like that code got shattered in a moment. And you don't know how to pull it back together. Everything feels morally gray in a way that's disorienting. Sign number 3. You've pulled away from your people. Not because you're afraid of them, because you feel like you don't deserve them. Or because you're convinced that if they really knew what you did or what you saw or what you failed to do, they would walk away. So you create the distance before they can. Sign number 4. You've lost your faith. And I don't just mean religious faith, though that's often a part of it. I mean faith in the institution you've served. Faith in the leadership that gave the orders. Faith in the idea that doing the right thing leads to good outcomes. Faith in yourself as someone capable of being a good person. Sign number 5. You feel like you don't deserve good things. Promotions, relationships, recovery, peace, any of it. You might self-sabotage, drink too much, pick fights, stay in situations that are bad for you because some part of you believes that's where you belong. Because you're punishing yourself for something you decided is unforgivable. Sign number 6. You feel spiritually dead. Empty. Hollow. Like things that used to give your life meaning, the mission, the brotherhood, the calling, got stripped out. And what's left is just you going through the motions. If you're hearing any of this, one of these, a few of these, all of these, I want you to hear me say this clearly. You are not broken. You are wounded. And those are very different things. A broken thing needs to be replaced. A wounded thing needs to be healed. And healing is possible. It's hard, but it is possible. I want to give you 2 examples now. These are composites. They're not one specific person. They're drawn from real patterns and real experiences that come up again and again in this community. If you see yourself in them, that's intentional. Marcus, Army combat veteran, 2 deployments. Marcus did 2 deployments in a combat zone. He was a squad leader, a good one. The kind of guy that his soldiers trust completely. On his second deployment, his squad got a call to clear a building. Intelligence said it was a weapons cache. It wasn't. There were civilians inside, including children. In the chaos, shots were fired before they could confirm. It was fog of war. The investigation cleared his squad. No one lost their career. Officially, it was a tragic but justifiable outcome given the circumstances. Marcus came home. He functioned. He transitioned out, got a job, moved forward with his family. But something shut him down inside. He stopped going to his church, even though faith had always been very central to his life. He stopped letting his kids climb on him and hug him the way they used to, not because he didn't love them, but because he didn't feel like he deserved that kind of innocence anywhere near him. He told his wife he was fine. He told the VA counselor he was managing. He wasn't managing. He was surviving. And there is a difference. Marcus didn't have flashbacks. He didn't have a fear response. He had a grief response, a shame response. He had decided somewhere deep in his gut that what happened was his fault, and that no amount of official clearance could change that. Because Marcus's moral code didn't run through a chain of command. It ran through his own soul. And his soul said, "You failed." That's moral injury. It doesn't care about the official report. It doesn't care about the circumstances. It holds you to a standard that is often impossible. The standard of a perfect human in an imperfect and brutal world. Let's look at example 2. Denise, a veteran paramedic for urban EMS for 11 years. Denise loved the work, felt called to it. She was the best on her unit at staying calm. The one people wanted next to them on a bad call. One night she responded to a call that she didn't respond to fast enough. She'd been on duty for 12 hours, her unit was short-staffed, and the dispatch had routed her wrong initially. By the time they finally got there, the patient, a teenage boy, was gone. Medically speaking, the outcome would likely have been the same regardless. The attending physician told her that directly. Denise couldn't let it go. She started second-guessing every call, not from fear. She still showed up. She still ran into the bad situations. But from a place of, what if I'm not good enough? What if I cost someone their life again? What if I'm actually the threat here? She started drinking more after shifts. She started snapping at her crew over minor things. She stopped going to her sister's house for Sunday dinners. She told herself it was because she was tired. But it was because she felt unworthy of a normal life when she believed she had failed to protect one. The betrayal piece came in later, when Denise tried to file a formal report about the dispatch error because she wanted the systemic problem fixed. She was told by her supervisor to let it go, that filing reports like that created liability, that she should be grateful nothing officially came of it. that it would follow her in her record. So she swallowed it, and it ate her alive. That's institutional betrayal layered onto personal moral injury. And it is one of the most common experiences in the first responder culture that nobody talks about. You did everything right, the system failed, you carried the cost, and the system told you to be quiet about it. Okay, so now you know what it is. You know if it's yours. Now what? I want to be straight with you. Moral injury doesn't have a neat, tidy 10-step solution. It's not a protocol you run and then it's cleared. It's more like a fracture that needs real rehabilitation, not just time. Time alone doesn't heal it. What you do with the time is what matters. Here are the things that research in the community of people who've actually walked through this say actually move the needle. Number one, name it and claim it. You did this today just by listening to this episode. The act of naming what you're carrying is the first and most important step. You can't fight a ghost. You can fight a wound. Give it a name. Say it out loud. I'm carrying moral injury from what happened. That's not weakness. That's the beginning of leverage. Step number 2. Separate shame from guilt. These are different. Guilt says I did something bad, and shame says I am bad. Guilt can be worked with. It can lead to accountability, amends, and eventually forgiveness. Yes, sometimes you need to forgive yourself. But shame is a trap. It tells you that you are permanently and fundamentally damaged goods. And that is a lie. Your actions in a moment of chaos in an impossible situation do not define the totality of who you are. Distinguishing between I did something I regret and I am irredeemably rotten is not excusing yourself. It's being accurate about the reality. Number 3, find the right kind of support. Not all therapy is built for this. If you've tried PTSD-focused therapy and still feel like you're missing something, this might be why. Adaptive disclosure therapy was developed specifically for moral injury in military populations. Acceptance and commitment therapy has strong evidence for it too. And some people find that peer support with others who understand the context, who have been in the same boots, the same rig, the same station, does more than anything clinical. Whatever you do, don't go it alone. But also don't assume the first door you knock on is going to be the right one. Number 4, rebuild your moral framework. Don't just patch it. The old framework got shattered. Trying to paste it back together as it was may not work because the experience revealed cracks that were already there. The work doesn't pretend the shattering didn't happen. It's to rebuild deliberately, thoughtfully, a moral code that can hold the full truth of your experience. That includes the hard parts. That's a process and not an event. Step 5, reconnect, even when you don't feel worthy. And this is a hard one. The moral injury will tell you that you should stay in isolation, that you don't deserve connection, that if people knew, they would leave. And I'm telling you that isolation feeds the wound. It creates a festering infection. Connection is the medicine. It doesn't have to be a big dramatic conversation. It can be showing up, being present, letting people in a little bit at a time. You don't have to confess everything to reconnect. And number 6, find meaning in the carrying. This is the long game piece. And I won't rush it. But some of the most powerful work done around moral injury involves finding a way to use the weight of what you carry in service of something larger. Veterans who become advocates, paramedics who train the next generation differently because of what they learned the hard way, officers who change the culture of the department because they refuse to let what happened to them happen to someone else. You don't have to turn your pain into a calling, but for a lot of people, that's what finally shifts it from a wound that is consuming them to a wound that is informing them. I want to close today the way I opened, with the person who's carrying something they still haven't named yet. I hope you're still here. That matters. That is actually something remarkable given what you've carried. The fact that what happened broke something in you doesn't mean you are wrong to have the code that got broken. It means you had a code worth having. It means you took something seriously that deserved to be taken seriously. It means you are a person of moral depth, living in a world that sometimes puts moral depth directly in the line of fire. That is not a character flaw. That is the price of being human in a role that asks superhuman things of you. You are allowed to make peace with this. You are allowed to heal. Not because you've earned it by suffering enough. You've already suffered more than enough. But because healing is not a reward for the deserving. It's a path that is available to anyone willing to walk it. Walk it. If you need me to, I'll help hold you up. I want to thank our sponsors. Keep this show on the air. That is W Energy, clean energy for those who need to be ready to respond, and deemed fit for duty. We're designed by first responders for first responders because they understand what your grit deserves. We'll see you next week. This is the Superhuman Resilience Project. I'm Kara. Take care of yourselves out there and each other. And by the way, you trained to be superhuman. Here, you can just be human.